Hi, I'm AnalysisWX.com's weather analyst, Andrew Fleck. Just here for a Wednesday storm check. A storm check involves 2 days before a storm occurring, and that's what I'll be doing for many storms this coming winter. And what the storm check is going to talk about is the storm late week for the eastern United States. And we're going to talk about, is it going to rain, flakes, or snow? What the models have kind of had so far, and give you a snow map at the end. Now, before we go into talking about the storm in the eastern United States, let's first go over most of the United States itself and talk about what's occurring before that big storm, because it's very important that we know what is occurring now before that storm. And what we have here is two areas. We have a low pressure around here, another one around here around Michigan. And these two are all in one trough yet, the trough that's going to be moving across the United States into the eastern United States, where a storm will form. And here we do have that counterclockwise motion, so you're going to be having a colder northern wind into this storm. So that's where you're getting some snow across Minnesota, 1, 2, 3 inches possible. This second storm has a weaker counterclockwise motion flow to it. Plus, you really don't have any cold air ahead of this, so you're not going to have really any snow really wrapping around with this one. And then we have another low pressure down here around Florida. Two major complexes on either side of Florida. Thank goodness they're not in Florida, but again, there's two complexes that are really leaning on Florida here. And I was really amazed, though, on the southeastern coast and coastal inland areas that there even was some rain up around there. I didn't expect the models to show that. I thought the models were just going to have some rain down here across Florida, but I don't think that's going to have any effect on the storm that's coming up Friday, but that's something that the models kind of didn't show and might have busted slightly on. So now that we kind of know what's happening over the United States right now, we're going to go into the models and now start to talk about the storm. So we're going to give you an imagery of the NAM and the GFS and show you the first 500 millibar vorticity charts of what both show and how they differ. And they differ, believe me. So going into the imagery here, we're going to first show you the NAM. So what the NAM does is it has a much tighter low pressure off the coast here, and much more centered as well. So what you're going to have here is that Florida low pressure that was supposed to come up the coast is pushed more eastward now, and this low pressure right here has the ability to be able to isolate itself and drop its own amount of precipitation. So what I like to do here when you have a low pressure is I like to go and follow the flow of how it rolls. We know a low pressure moves in a counterclockwise motion. So it looks to me that in this area up here, okay, around this low pressure here, it looks like anybody in this area here is getting that flow from the north, and that's where probably the snow and much more flakes will occur. Now if you're in this area here in the red, it's going to be a little harder because that low pressure is slightly closer to you, and that means you're not getting northern winds, but you're getting more of an easterly wind. So you're kind of having more of the sea winds spreading over some of those coastal regions. So you might not be having much of any flakes at all. You will have some, I'm thinking, in the morning, but I don't believe that it's going to be an all-day thing. I don't even think, quite honestly, that you're going to have, as the day goes on, too much snow back here in PA. It's going to be one of those like in the morning or the late at night where you're going to have the best chance of seeing snow, because the daytime is not going to be all that frigid. Again, let me mention that this is not a extremely cold air mass. So as we go into the GFS, this is, of course, the GFS, a little bolder, so it's not as in-depth, but what we have here to look at is really more of an open circulation here of where the lows are going to go with each other. Basically looking at the GFS, looks like there's going to be a low here that taps off here, but I expected it to have a little more tighter development and circulation to it. So what that says to me is that that low pressure that comes up from Florida is going to be much more closer to this low because of it kind of sharing energy, and that's where you're probably going to have a bigger storm across this area up here, or should I say, let me just write that in a better color, in this area up here, instead of the snow we were talking about in this area down here. Now, as we go into the precip maps, this is going to be the NAM here, and what I pretty much explained was how you're going to have that first energy or that secondary energy that forms off the coast here, and that brings some precip really in this area here, and not too much up here in New England. And that is because this is a little stronger, and it's kind of shoving that Florida low, okay, further out to sea. Now, if we go to the GFS, that's totally different. We have that piece that was once across the eastern United States, or eastern PA, my bad, and Maryland and New Jersey and Delaware is now up here across the New England states. And that is because there's really no circulation of any low down here. If there is, it's a little weak, and you're having that low pressure that was in Florida able to grab itself and put itself closer to the New England coast. And what that's going to do is probably give some snow and some rain in there. So it all really depends on what that one low pressure does when it taps, okay, to the coast. It's going to not be the low pressure that's off Florida, but there's going to be one embedded low pressure around here somewhere. And the big question is, how strong is that? Because if it's pretty good and strong, you're going to have some precip across Pennsylvania, the Mid-Atlantic states. If it's too weak, you're going to have this low pressure here come up and dominate into the New England states and pretty much not give too much of anything to the Mid-Atlantic because of really just taking over all the energy and forcing it into one area like the New England states. So last but not least, we're going to go into the snowfall map here that Analysis WX presented. And we have, as of right now, just give me a call for the heck of it. We'll have another one for you tomorrow. We're thinking 2 to 4 inches in 2 areas, one right here and another one down here. These are going to be the areas that are going to be pretty much the coldest. 1 to 2 inches in here definitely possible as you get that one band moving through Pennsylvania. And then you have on the outer lead edges some traced 1 inch amounts possible. And already on this low pressure, like I was talking about, some areas in here are better areas than seeing flakes than some areas up in this area, only because you have more of a curve down here, and that's bringing more of a north wind. And in here, you have more of an easterly wind. So, amazing as it is, you might have snow actually falling down here instead of areas that are a little more north. So we're going to have to continue to monitor this, but as of right now, this is the thoughts of what we're looking at for your Wednesday's afternoon outlook. I plan to be doing a lot of more updates now, so a lot of videos, even another one, should be coming in tonight, so look forward to that one. Have a nice one, and I'll talk to you guys really soon.